We've got the scoop on Paul and Karine. Paul and Karine have an extensive 90 Day Fiance history. Their story has been told through TLC's 90 Day Fiance Before the 90 Days, 90 Day Fiance The Other Way, and 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After. Here's a recap of their relationship, including all the times Paul has run away from the producers into the street. Please take a second to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Sarah's Scoop. The beginning. Paul met Karine on a Latin dating app. At the time, Paul was 34 and Karine was 21, living in a remote town on the Amazon River in Brazil. Paul did not speak Portuguese and Karine didn't speak English, so they relied heavily on translator apps. Paul wanted to visit Karine to see if he wanted to marry her and bring her back to the United States. He packed up a few bags and 4 trunks. He is well known for his overpacking, collected a lock of his mother's hair, and took a 17-hour flight and 32-hour boat ride to Karine's home. The first trip. When Paul arrived, Karine's family expressed their concern that their relationship was going too fast. Paul asked her father for his blessing in marriage using awkward and inappropriate hand gestures. After the translator app loaded what Paul was trying to say, he gives Paul his blessing to marry Karine. He asks Karine to take a pregnancy test and STD tests before he considers proposing to her. All of the tests come back negative. Paul told the cameras about his plan to marry Karine now that the tests are negative, but needed to tell her about his criminal past and fears from past relationships. He pulled her aside and told her he was arrested for arson, had a restraining order against him from an ex-girlfriend, and other minor criminal behavior. He got very upset and walked away from her, trying to hide up a hill in some unsafe woods. When she caught up with him, he tried to break up with her. Karine told him she didn't care about his past and still wanted to be with him. While she was leaving the woods, she was mugged by someone with a machete. She was okay, but went to the hotel to gather a few things to stay at a friend's house. The crew searched for Paul but could not find him. When he came out of the woods, the crew made sure he was okay and let him know what happened. The next day, Paul apologized to Karine for endangering her and walking off as he did. Karine told him he was acting like a child but forgave him and wanted to move forward. Paul decided to propose to Karine the same day. He made a heart and a sign in the sand at a beach. He wrote it in English and made her translate it. After an awkwardly long time of translating, Karine said yes. Paul told her he needed to go back to the United States for a while to make money for their wedding. Karine expressed concern about him not coming back to her. The second trip. After 4 months in America, Paul was going back to Brazil for 3 months. Paul and Karine planned to marry while he was there, but her family needed to see his entire criminal record first. On his way to Brazil, Paul's luggage was lost in transit. Luckily, his criminal record was in his carry-on and he was able to show it to Karine's family. He hired a translator to make sure everything would be understood. After a bit of an interrogation, her family agreed to let them continue dating and marry. Karine's parents hired a lawyer to get documents approved for Paul and Karine's marriage. Karine brought up the idea of starting a family with Paul as soon as possible. They planned to marry while Paul was there and to bring Karine to the United States on a spousal visa. Karine believes that they will fight less with the child and he will leave her if she is not pregnant. Paul is concerned about finances but agrees to have a child. Paul called his mom to tell her about the wedding and the possibility of starting a family soon, but she didn't think it was a good idea. She does not think that Paul is responsible enough to be a father. Troubles in paradise. Karine's parents expressed they are very concerned about how often Paul and Karine fight. Karine became upset, explaining she is concerned about the fights as well as how high Paul's stress levels can get. She claims he can be controlling and mean. He retaliates, stating that he does not trust her and that she is talking to other American men, thinking it's romantic, online or talking to men in Brazil when he is gone. Despite it all, they decided to get married. Karine had doubts but still walked down the aisle. They rented an apartment to live in together while Paul is there, and a safe place to live for Karine when Paul is away. Karine's brother moved in as well to help them pay rent and to protect Karine. Paul called her brother a thief and offended her family. This was the final straw for her. She wanted a divorce. Her family had another interrogation with Paul, where they called him out for complaining about his relationship on social media. He felt attacked by his wife and family, and he'd agreed to get a divorce. After a few days, Paul is told that Karine is at a clinic and wants him to come to it. It is revealed that she is 4 to 5 weeks pregnant. Paul told her he wants the marriage to work and he is dedicated to Karine and the baby. She is unsure if she wants to be with him, but gives him another shot, wanting him to raise the baby. Unfortunately, there is a complication with the pregnancy and Karine had a miscarriage. Paul decided to go back to the United States to make more money for them. Paul moves to Brazil. The start of the show, 90 Day Fiance The Other Way, showed Paul planning to move to Brazil to be with Karine, who is pregnant. There were complications with the airline of all the bags and trunks Paul wanted to take with. He decided to leave a lot of the baby's things at home and go the next day. When Paul eventually arrived at their apartment, Karine had not answered her phone for a while and did not know he was coming. She was scared, thinking Paul was a thief, but relieved and happy to see him. They decided to spend some time with Karine's family at their house to help with her pregnancy. He caught Karine talking to other American men to improve her English and threatened to divorce her, running off into the street. Paul wanted to stay at a hotel until he figured out what he was going to do. Karine was admitted into a hospital with extreme pain. She was going into labor. Paul was called to the hospital, and after a long and complicated birth, Karine had their son. When Paul's mom went to visit the baby, they revealed they were planning to come to the United States on a spousal visa. This way, Paul can work and provide for his family. Paul and Karine move. Paul and Karine have been featured on 90 Day Fiancé Before the 90 Days Season 1 and 2, 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way Season 1, and now 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After Season 5. On the show, they are now in America, living in a hotel. When they arrived, he got mad at his mom and jumped out of the car, running through the street to the hotel. Fans are excited to see where their relationship will go from here.
Thank you for watching. Head to sarahscoop.com for more of the scoop on your favorite things.